got to learn how not to turn the ball over. You know, I told him that's the worst thing they can do. You know, I was joking that maybe we got to get Dan Mullen's punter over there so we can just punt it out of bounds and not give it to the other team at times. But other than that, as far as like offensively, our guys have been playing with some freedom and doing some good things. We just got to make sure we're taking care of the basketball.
Are you surprised? You talked about that for a while, that you guys are playing hard and you haven't had to, kind of stick the cattle prod in their leg a little bit. Are you surprised by that, or is it that maybe they didn't know what hard was and you had to kind of get them to understand what hard was? Or was that not an issue?
Well, I'm a little surprised by it. It used to be when I first started in this business that like playing hard was, taken for granted. And now playing hard and playing tough has almost become a skill level, something that you check off on when you go and evaluate kids. So, that's the one thing I think our guys have embraced, is like the embrace is the fact that they're going to go out there and play hard.
Just talk about what you've seen from Jalen Steele early on.
Well, I think the biggest thing is like Jalen is a great person as far as like the way he handles his business. Like he has a business-like approach to the game of basketball. And so he comes in, he shoots early, he stays and he shoots late. Another thing is too is like you need a guy out there who's a lethal shooter that can space the defense. And I think he's taken on that role, and he's an unbelievably hard worker, and I think that he's going to be a good player for us. It's now like, can he take the attention that he's going to receive? It used to be that he was probably the third or fourth guy on the scouting report, if that. Now he's probably going to be the first guy on the scouting report, and so can he handle those duties?
Rick, it's early. Can you talk about where you see the strengths of your team being?
Yeah, that's real early. I don't know what our strengths are yet. Our guys are still trying to figure out the way we want them to play and what we expect out of them. I would say right now, like the biggest thing as far as like our strength is our ability to shoot the basketball with Jalen Steele and Fred Thomas and Colin Walker. Those guys have done a good job of shooting the basketball so far. But I don't know if they'll get those opportunities or not if we don't have guys that can penetrate and get inside and throw the ball inside to Wendell and have those guys score, because if we don't have any sort of like a threat as far as like getting to the paint, whether by post feeds or by dribble penetration, then those guys will never get opportunities to shoot the ball.
Talk about Wes Flanagan and what he brings to your team.
Well, the biggest thing is I've known Wes Flanagan for a long time. He was an AAU coach when I was an assistant at Indiana State, and I recruited several of his players. Didn't always get them, but I always appreciated the way Wes handled his business, and I've seen Wes, rise in the coaching ranks. And the big thing about Wes is, first and foremost, he's a consummate professional. I think, first of all, like kids understand that he's played basketball in the SEC, and he was a really good player at Auburn. But more importantly, he's a good man, and so they can look to him as far as like the way they should go about their business and live their life. And he's a loyal guy, and obviously the recruiting ties he has in the South is really going to be good for us, because now I thought when I first got the job, you had to sell three things. You had to sell, Mississippi State. You had to sell me, and then you also had to sell the assistant coach that was recruiting. Well, a lot of guys already know the assistant coach in this case, which is Wes, and so now all he has to worry about selling the other two things. So he's always going to be in with key recruits, and I think he does a great job.
What's been the biggest challenge for you since you got the job?
The biggest challenge? I think the one thing that I wanted to make sure that I was doing was like establishing a culture of accountability, and that's probably been the biggest challenge so far. And the one thing guys haven't done is they haven't fought me on that, but just like, guys want a pat on the back for doing the things they're supposed to do. Like, they came in like, Coach, I was on time for my tutor appointment. Like, well, you're supposed to be on time for your tutor appointment. Those are the things you do. And so, I think having a culture of accountability and trying to establish those things as far as like doing things the right way and handling your business on a daily basis. Because first and foremost, you're there to be a student, and the next thing is to be an athlete. And it's hard to manage those things at times. And so, but you're in a blessed opportunity, and make sure you take advantage of it. But just making sure that we're holding our guys accountable for all their actions, both on and off the court, it's probably been the most difficult thing to do. Not because the kids have fought it, but just, it's something new to them.
Rick, I know